Hello viewers, Super GT here. So the manufacturer series pre-season is here, but we have to choose our manufacturer for the whole of 2019. So this better be a bloody good decision. Now, you may well have seen already on various social media that I've posted that I've gone with Jaguar. Yes, that's right. National anthem intensifies as I've gone British once again. After going with Mclaren before, as I signed this contract, this is really strange, right? It took me a while to decide, but I went yes. That's actually my signature, my real life signature. It's crazy how the game knows that. But here we go then. We've signed with Jag. We've got the F-Type, Group 4 and Group 3. And the first race of this pre-season is going to be in Group 3. So you know what, Jaguar, I think they're actually kind of underappreciated in this game. I think they're actually a fairly solid manufacturer. I think maybe a little bit underrepresented. As we go for the handshake of doom, it's all over. We've chosen the brand, there's no going back now. So here we are at Kyoto. Now this qualifying session was a weird one because it's quite a long track. It takes about 2 minutes 20-ish to do a lap. So I didn't bother setting a banker and then doing a flying one at the end. I just went all out on the fuel saving, burnt out all the polar ice caps, killed all the polar bears by burning so much fuel, and then finally on after the third lap going on to the fourth one. Here we go then. This is my qualifying lap. It needs to be a good one, of course. Well, I mean, when does it ever need to be a bad one? You know, you don't get Toto Wolff on the radio. Lewis, we need a bad lap. Can you please just bottle it? You don't really get that. So of course it needs to be a good one. We're in I think it's the second split, second or third. So you know we got good players in this place up in here. So I need to do a good job. So I'm going to show you the entirety of my qualifying lap so you can see what averageness looks like. So this is the final lap. This is it. I've got no, you know, if this goes wrong, then I'm at the back. Even if it goes right, I'm probably still at the back. But it definitely, you know, if I definitely get it wrong, then I'm definitely at the back. So this is the Kyoto and Yamagiwa pronunciation, I don't know if I got it right. Circuit. So combines the Kyoto circuit with this little side part here. Very long track. Very lots of very long turns like this one here. So a theme of this circuit really is tyres dying of death. At least the only thing, there's one consolation maybe, that the corners, actually no, it's not a consolation, they're all long left-handers. Pretty much all of the long corners, the really long ones, are all lefts. So the right-hand tyres are imbalanced and they're dying more death than the left tyres, unfortunately. RIP to the right-hand tyres. So this lap is actually going okay, fairly smooth, fairly well executed thus far. Got my fuel down to a decent level. You see on the left-hand side of the screen, quite a few people didn't set a lap time. So at least I think 5 or 6 of us haven't set time yet, maybe more, not sure. So this is the final turn then, coming up towards it, the hairpin. Lots of hairpins around this track actually. And they're going for that late apex to get the power out. The Jaguar are feeling good, you know. The Jaguar is actually a really solid car. And there were a couple of people using it last season who did very well. Crossing the line to go a second away from pole. V12 Vantage on pole position. So a fair mix of cars, but mostly Porsches and Toyotas. Those are the cars to beat, I think. I'm actually the top Jaguar in this race. There was a Jaguar behind me. Let's begin the race. 7 laps around the circuit. So around about 15-16 minutes of racing. And the lights are out. Away we go. So 12th position it was in the end. So it was a decent lap, but obviously still a long way off. And this is the thing. In the manufacturer series, you've got to find that balance between having a good brand, but having a brand that not too many people have. So I mean, I could have easily gone Porsche, gone Toyota, BMW, Mercedes. I think those 4 are probably the most popular 4, and probably the best 4, the fastest cars. So it's always going to be difficult to beat those brands. And in this race there are a lot of Porsches, there are a lot of Toyotas. A lot of people driving that FT1 Toyota, which is really good on handling tracks. So just to try to beat any of them is a challenge in itself. But the main thing I think for me, and I think the main thing in this series really, is just to try to be the top Jaguar. Just try to beat as many Jaguars as possible and finish as high up within the manufacturer ranking as you can. I suppose that's the idea really. And to also just to get your manufacturer into the World Final. So, settling into the race at this point here. So we do have the Jaguar behind. So it's pretty much a 1v1 between myself and Cosmic. So that's a little battle to watch out for throughout the race. But of course, the main battle is just trying to beat as many people as you can. That's the idea of racing. If you didn't know that, well, that's what we got to do. Basically, finish the race first. There you go. The more you know, eh? So coming up towards the right hand hairpin, gone to the left hand side, around the outside of the Porsche. Now that was Melman. They didn't really have a good first lap. I think he was all over the place. Possibly on the hard tyre. Hard to tell, but he was a little bit nervous, it looked like, making a couple of little mistakes. So I've gone through up until 11th. Speaking of tyres, I'm on the medium, and I do think most of the drivers here are on the medium tyre. As I'm going to look to do a one-stop strategy. So with the 7 laps, you're going to look to pit at the end of 3 or 4, and it really just kind of depends on the traffic. It's quite a short pit lane here, so it is definitely better to do the one stop. If anyone goes for a 0 stop, then it's pretty much guaranteed death. Dying of death is pretty much guaranteed in that situation. So good luck to anyone who wants to go toe to toe with the Grim Reaper in that occasion, but I don't think it's going to work out. So crossing the line at the end of lap 1, 1 position gained, and just trying to get onto the back of the group ahead. If you can just get into the toe, that's very useful, because in this race, I did a practice race and the fuel is very marginal. So getting in the toe, just fuel saving a tiny bit more than you could normally is ideal. And it wasn't until lap 3 here that we did actually manage just to get onto the back of this group. So just slowly edging our way towards the back end, the tail end of this 4-way group, the battle for 7th. So it was a very close battle. You can see on the map, there's lots of very close battles indeed. I've actually got a nice gap behind now, 3 seconds to Cosmic in the other Jaguar. So I do think that he's possibly on the hard tyre, although it's hard to tell. In fact, you can't tell until they go to the pit lane what tyre they're on. So moving over to the left hand side here, braking just on the end of that yellow and grey barrier that begins on the left hand side of that mini pit lane on that part of the circuit, and coming through this very long section. Very technical track this, the Kyoto circuit, so you've got to have a lot of patience through these very long corners, a lot of the time kind of coasting through mid-turn and then waiting to get on the throttle, and especially on these later laps on the tyres where the death process has well and truly begun. So it looks like now Bandit in the Nissan looking up the inside of the Lexus, not quite going to happen for him there, and he just gets shoved out wide. The Lexus really just fights back at him. I'm going to gain a position out of that, up into the top 10, looking into the final turn. So 8th and 9th, the Lexus and the BMW side by side, they're following the Toyota FT1 up ahead. The Lexus there, also a very solid manufacturer, as they all dive to the left hand side into the pit lane. Now I'm going to stay out here. I've got a margin of about 3 seconds to the people behind, so I can afford to go for this strategy. I did this in practice. I did practice a 3 lap and then a 4 lap, and then I also practiced a 4 and then a 3. And overall, the 4 into the 3 was quicker for me. I liked having the fresher tyres at the end. The main problem is coming out behind a couple of people, but we'll see how it goes. This lap is crucial here. It's going to be the worst lap technically in the race because it's the 4th lap of a stint, and it's the only time in the race I'm going to have the 4th lap in a stint. So in these long corners, you see here how wide I've gone, almost onto the blue tarmac on the outside. That's how bad the grip is. So that front right is just showing complete signs of just failure basically, as it just really does not want to turn into these corners at all. Doesn't really want to comply with my request to go around the turn. So this point here, sitting in 4th, which is solid, but then of course a lot of people just went into the pit lane. We'll see how it goes. We were sitting in 10th. We're in 10th position when everyone else just jumped into the pit lane at the end of the previous lap. So we'll see what happens. At the end of this lap, we'll probably jump down or jump backwards a couple of positions, but then it's going to be a really attacking race with the fresher tyres up against everyone, especially on that final lap when everyone else is going to be on their 4th lap on the stint and I'll only be on my 3rd, which doesn't sound like much of an advantage, but it is with the tyre wear sliders the way they are. The tyre, I think it's 17 times for this race. They really do. They love the death process. They love watching people die of death on this game. So you really do have to dance with the devil here. Coming through the hairpin into the last little sequence of the lap, coming across the final sector. You see they're 3 seconds off our PB. That just shows you how much grip you lose, how much time you lose as the stint goes on. So there's a 2 minute 17 on lap 2, 2 minute 19.7 one lap later, and this one looking more like a 2:21 or something. But we're not going to complete the lap because we are going to dip into the pit lane as we come around the final turn, moving over to the left hand side. The top 3 all go in, as do I, as we haven't pitted just yet. So here are the Jaguar boys, not really representing the team colours, although I do have a red driver suit, so that's what they're matching, I suppose. Really nice livery on this car, so whoever's done that, well done. Very nice. So coming out of the pit lane, where are we going to pop into the race? 13th. So we've lost 3 positions, but this is where the race really gets interesting because we have three laps to attack on fresher tyres up against people with slightly less fresher tyres. On unfresher tyres, if that's a word. No, it's not a word really, is it? Well, it is now. I just made it up. So coming over the crest, you see there's a little group behind, so we did just enough to stay ahead and out of slipstream range, quite crucially. So these little differences do make the difference. Obviously, differences make the difference. Yeah, well, obviously. What I was meant to say, these little mistakes make the difference. On that 4th lap we were just going around on previous lap, you go wide one little bit and you lose half a second, and that could easily be a position or 2. Especially in a lobby like this. These people aren't messing around. There's good players in here, so you really do have to have your work. You really do have to be on it, otherwise you're going to be overtaken quite easily. We were just riding the sausage on the way out of that hairpin, but we are still good in 13th place. So just slowly making our way onto the back of the group ahead. It's only a small group of 2, Aston Martin and the BMW. As we come through here, moving over to the left hand side, and again braking on the beginning of that grey and yellow barrier on the left, and that sets you in nicely for this very long corner. Got to be really patient over the bump and then wait for the power on the way out, and then move over to the right hand side as necessary to minimise the tyre wear as you come up the hill over the crest, sweeping over to the right hand side, just looking for the 35R marking there and then using that as a brake reference. Normally on the freshest tyres you can brake right on the end of that 35R, and then as the race goes on you can brake a tiny bit before it and a tiny bit before it, and you scale your braking point a little bit further forward each lap. So plenty of curve through there, and I was wondering if I was going to get a penalty for that. Not many people getting penalties here actually. I don't think I've actually seen one in this race as of yet. So not getting one there, thankfully, that would have completely ruined the race. But now, as we end lap number 5, you see the full extent of 5th up until pretty much about 15th on that one shot there. So it's actually a fairly close race, although behind there's still a gap of about 2.2 seconds at this point. So that's cosmic behind the other Jaguar. So still ahead, we're still number 1 Jaguar in the race. So hopefully Toto will get on the radio to give him some team orders to back off or not overtake. As although we're not Ferrari, so it might not happen. Over the crest, it looked like the Aston Martin had a bit of a mistake as he went side by side with the BMW. Lost a lot of time, lost a lot of momentum, and concedes the position. I'm up into 12th, so minimum time loss up against him. So this is the thing. We're gonna really just try to overtake as quickly as possible. Or on the inside, and he just goes straight on here. Really unusual crash. Really not sure what happened there. My first instinct was that he didn't pit and his tyres just completely died of death. But he definitely went in the pit lane. He was just in front of me when I went in. So I'm not sure what happened there. Obviously went wide, just lost grip perhaps on the grass, and said hello to the barrier. So up behind Feechix here, just tap him a little bit on, and just have to back off, let him go back into the position. I think he gives a little bit of an indication there to say thank you for the punt, or thank you for letting me back in. I'm going to go for the move here, up the inside. Superior braking force So with the better tyres, you can brake a tiny bit later, you can turn in a little bit better, you can accelerate a little bit easier. So you just have advantage on the way in, through, and on the way out of all of the corners pretty much. So these guys here should, in theory, be sitting ducks as we come up through this hairpin. Sitting in 10th. This race is really getting very interesting now. With 1 lap left to go, we're back to the position that we were when we went into the pit lane, but we have the advantage now of having fresher tyres than all of these guys ahead. And pretty much all of them, I think. Yes, I think pretty much all of these guys went in at the end of lap 3. In fact, it was pretty much this exact situation here. These 3 just popped over to the left hand side at the end of lap 3. But now this time we're going to go straight on to cross the line to begin the 7th and final lap of the race. So here we go then. How many positions can we gain? It looks like Bandit really struggles with the tyre wear of that Nissan GTR. It's a big boy and the tyre is really not coping well with that car. And well, not at the end of each stint, and he really is struggling as he was at the end of the first stint. Looking up the inside there, not quite going to happen. Right on his tail. It's not really a corner to go for a lunge. Not a huge braking zone. You're kind of trail braking in, carrying a lot of speed. You see just how easy it is for me to stay right on his tail. He's struggling right now. But we can go for the move over the crest, down the hill, into the hairpin, as I've got the superior brakes. There we go, just edging onto the brakes nicely, up the inside. That is a textbook move, and we've done it very well. He's looking to fight back, he's on the inside, and I've got pretty much fully alongside, pretty much fully ahead. I think his nose might have been level with my rear, but that sounded a bit weird. But he just backed out, and I think it was a sensible decision. So up into 9th place, through the long left now. Tackling the BMW is my next victim. Can we go about getting 8th place? Looks like 7th and 6th. A little bit too far ahead. They're driving the Toyota FT1. Always difficult to beat that car. Always going to be a really good car, that FT1. In fact, the guy in 6th place, was he driving? The Lexus. I think the Lexus is a really solid choice as well, actually. So the BMW all over the place, squirming on the way out of the turn. And he just leaves the space on the left-hand side. I'm going to go through it and up into 8th with about a quarter of a lap remaining. Looking for the 35R board once again, or marking, braking on it, and you see there I braked right on the end of it and I went a little bit deep. Staying in 8th position. There's a yellow flag though. Who is this? It's BSR Steve around the outside into the chicane. I wasn't sure when he was going to come out of that ghost, so I couldn't take the risk of going through him, and just going to hold him off into the final turn. So he's on the left hand side, and this is really a matter of just hugging the apex as much as possible, leaving no gaps. And there's nowhere for him to go. So I've gone up into 7th on the last pretty much 2 corners, and we're going to come across the line here to finish in 7th. That is a really good result for me, I think. And you see just how close it was behind, and it was really a race of fine margins, because one mistake, maybe one penalty, and look, I mean, it was 3 or 4 seconds down to 14th. So it's really close. In fact, if I had lost even just 2 seconds, I would have been down in 12th, 13th. So really good race that, really pleased with how it went. Top Jaguar, and the guys ahead all in Porsches, Toyotas, or the Lexus. So not a bad result, beating the other Jaguar too, and being pretty much best of the rest. But there we go. I do hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts. So yeah, going with Jaguar, let me know which car you've gone for this season, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks so much for watching. Goodbye.